maybe motherly care more from their own mom might be very convenient for the women. Also, there was the tradition when they are going to give birth to a child, they used to go to their own parents' house. And on the way in Lumbini, presently it's in Nepal, Buddha was born. Buddha was born, that's very, very important thing. But there is some background. Buddha was born, that is known by all. I want to discuss about some of the background. It is mentioned in the text that Buddha was ready to be born in this world, to come down to this world, and was surveying from the height of heavenly realms as a bodhisattva. After enlightenment, we know that many past lives. We know that Jataka stories of Buddha. He recollected, explained, and discussed about that. So we came to know that Buddha was from long time before fulfilling to become a Buddha, Sambuddha. So we know that before the life of Siddhartha, as a son of King Suddhadana, he was born. He was undergone through many lifetimes in the Jataka stories. But sometimes our masters, they say even much more than that. It is only 500 stories. So that is one of the big things we have to know, that when someone born in a certain as I am discussing about the Buddha's before when he was before being born, when he was in the heavenly realms. We discussed about that Buddha has the capability that time when he was dwelling in the heavenly realms to survey where to born, where to go down to the earth. It is said that he surveyed from the heaven where to go and where to born, where to take birth. So he surveyed and found that the one family in Kapilavatthu, the king's family, were fully observing Panchasila, the 5 precepts, and living the very virtuous life. But at the same time, also he came to know that there is very less Maya is going to end. It is very just limited time. He should hurry up. So immediately after the survey, he came into the dream of Mahamaya actually. You know, our people, we talk about the Thema also. Someone in the family, maybe the mom herself or father or someone in the seniors had something like that, some simple, some side Themons there. So we know that before Buddha was born, the night Mahamaya was getting pregnant, she dreamed of a white elephant from the side. So then we came to know that Mahamaya was pregnant. Buddha was in this, in this world. That time, as Buddha was perfectly fulfilled the paramitas, So as the moment Mahamaya got pregnant, the whole of the kingdom of everything, because of so much of blessed person is coming to. We know that someone born in a family, then family get developed or becoming English or something. Good things have the coming of anyone who is very fortunate one. We need to be like that. So Buddha was perfectly, fully ready to become Buddha. So he fulfilled all the paramitas. That's when conceived, become pregnant. Totally, the whole of the environment, whole of the atmosphere changes. Everything become the cultivation, everything becomes so abundant, so great. Fragrance and the fruits. There are so many things mentioned about that. So from that, I used to talk to our people. I'm sorry, maybe if I go on this way, I cannot come to say. I used to talk to the people. That's why from that evidence, we came to know that the parents' virtuous life is very important. Those who expect a child, they should live a very virtuous life. Someone fortunate, someone who has a good parami will come to our family, will be born in our family. So it is very important. Of course, they were not having child. Buddha's parents, they were not having child for long life, so that they have one child who can later on ascend the throne, become the king of Kapilavatthu. That's why they are praying and praying and praying with the leading a very much Siddhartha, Siddhi, wish fulfilled, something like that. In Indian words, Indian meaning, Siddhartha means wish fulfilled. We know this tradition is still there till today in this present time also. Those parents, they take some time that they used to go to temples or where they know that it's our wish are fulfilled in the temple. Our prayers are heard in the temple, maybe Yaksayore in Tegu somewhere, many people have. The important thing is here, I used to say, suppose I go somewhere, then I go, suppose I come to Seoul, then I come where I have the relations with you, come to the place where I know my devotees, to whom I know I go there to that place, right? Suppose you go to Busan, you go to some other country, then you visit some particular family, particular person, according to what relationship. And it's very important because if they are not ready with proper virtue of quality, we say punya, doggy 없으면, if accept a person who is descending from the heavens, then a fortunate or meritorious child cannot be expected. So the new married couple should be very, very careful in their life who are expecting the child. That's why, according to our karma, to some places, as like that, those who are not observing proper virtues, meritorious deeds, not living the generous or good life incidents, we can say they cannot expect a good, fortunate, or meritorious child in their family. So it is like that. As for, Siddhartha's name is Gautama Siddhartha. You know that Gautama. Gautama is Go is actually cow. Go Mata. We Hindus, for them, cow is very, very precious, very, very, highly they pray to the cow. They believe as like gods, Indian Hindus. Pious, or they think it's 성스럽다. 영어 단어가 sacred. Yes, to be related with cow. That's why they are claimed. They also have related with Gautama. This Gautama. How can I say in English? The family tradition, is related with the Sakya clan of Suddhadana's family. That's why Buddha's name is Gautama Siddhartha. Of course, later on, when he became awakened, he is called Buddha, also with many other names. To born in certain important idea. I sometimes wonder if Buddha was born in some other family, not in king's family, not in that country. Suppose someone born in Korea, in Seoul, someone born in a very poor African country or some other ASEAN country of very dire situations, then the whole situation can be changed or successful, can be very, very famous. Doesn't matter where you born, it doesn't matter, of course. But it's become sometimes for the normal people difficult to understand what was happened in Buddha. He could walk. How can you imagine that one can walk? And he claimed that I am the supreme one. I came to like that. So can it be imaginable even in the present day? Of course, it cannot be imaginable, normal. So though Buddha was born as a human being, normal person, but he was not normal. He was not normal. That's why in Buddhist text, it is related to the past, long past lives. Throughout his previous lives, Buddha has, and he was totally different. Normally, we see some child born with some special merits, some genius. Sometimes some child is born with some deficiency. We see like that. We are born like that. So we are not as like Buddha that fulfilled all the parameters, all the perfections in our. It took many lifetimes, maybe we don't know, to fulfill the parameters. So maybe anyone who could, according to what his or her past lives, they are born with certain talent, maybe genius, some merit in this life also. Sometimes I have seen in the television a kind of hypnotism, and then the person can recollect, remember what was there in the past, something like that. Then we see at that program, actually, I have seen a small child, very young child. If you watch the by watching the dance program, he can just follow. And some other guy, he could speak the Indian language, many other languages through hypnosis. I don't know how the techniques work. People could remember in the past long or past lives, they could remember. It is difficult. So from the evidence of the Buddha's life, what he has done miracle, it's not just a child immediately after born could speak, could walk, and Lotus, it is said that Lotus blooms, and then in each steps, before he put the steps, a Lotus was born, bloom. These miracles cannot be understood normally. So we connect all these miracles to Buddha's. Also can learn that this present life is not just about what is in this life. We are also having long past. Maybe we were all there in this past life, in this present life. So anyway, in Indian society, if someone is born in a king's family, that is a very big thing. Even today, of course, it's same in everywhere. Only much discriminations at different levels of the society, family level, rich and poor, and high and low, something like that. So the low class or the outclass in our life of a superior high class child, the kings, something like that. I even don't know. We even don't know some very, maybe even I don't know about all of you. Even your life, much difference might be there with the life of some who are very they cannot imagine how the life is given. So the life of Buddha was totally different. So because he was born in a royal family as a prince, and they were waiting, praying, and it became so popular in the whole of the kingdom that a newborn baby is there, a royal heir is born. So the famous fortune tellers, or sometimes normally in the countryside, I don't know about city life. Still, those who have relatives, friends, they congressmates. So that time, as child was born in the king's family, all of the kingdoms become so happy. Many came to congressmates, to compliments. Still in Korea also, when a newborn is there, then they consult with the fortune tellers. I don't know how much it is true here. In India, normally in the Hindu families, even in the Buddhist tradition, time he is born, when he is born, which year he is born, it's there in the ASEAN tradition. So they used to consult in the locality. So that time it is said, all they had foretold that this child will be very famous. If he become a king of this king, Kavati Maharaja, he will be an emperor. It is believed. It is said that time in India, India's name was Jambudvipa. That Jambudvipa was ruled by many small kingdoms. Many small kingdoms. Even some scholars, they were oligarchy, a kind of not fully established country, a kind of small groups, high class groups, something like that. So they were so happy if he is told that this child will be so powerful, he will rule whole of the universe. Sakavati means a kind of whole of the universe. That time that means there. So wow, it would be very what to say, glory to their kingdoms, to their family, fortunate science. But one he says that he can choose, and ultimately he will choose to become fully enlightened, to renounce the world, to become an ascetic, the truth of Buddhahood, enlightenment. So he has given the words that this child will not become a king. He will renunciate the world, renunciate all of these things, and become an ascetic, supremely enlightened person, a Buddha. Then what happened from that time? Normally the parents, suppose, of course, in many families now not fully satisfactory, not fully happy. If my children, my grandchildren, they become monk, they renunciate this sin, then we'll be more happy. Some parents say so, but most of the parents, though they are devout Buddhist devotee, still they say that they expect to carry out their family tradition, not to go from home to home business, not to become a monk, not to become a monastic. If we say you have 2 child, you can allow one to become monk. Child also say, okay, I want to become monk. Most of the parents cannot agree. In the same way, that time also, when the prince later on, they found Siddhartha, he become interested more sometimes in a contemplative position. It is believed even when he was a very young child, sometimes he loved to become alone. Then it became a great concern for the kings. Maybe the person they will enunciate and will become an ascetic, become a Buddha. Maybe that's going to be true. From the behavior of the child, we can see maybe that's going to be true. So he took some measures not to happen that. So he took all his Siddhartha to confine in the palace. It is said he made 3 different palaces for the child. One for the summer season, so that he might be very, very comfortable in the summertime also. He should not experience some extreme, some because of heat of the sun. So he should be fully in luxury. He cannot even think of, because if he's in full luxury, then he cannot think to go away, to give up. That was the idea of the king. So he, for the prince, one for the summer, another for winter, and another one for the rainy seasons. And he was confined to only live a life of luxury, enjoy and become, just pleasure life, suffering, so that after if he experienced some suffering, he could leave the palace. But ultimately, of course, what was to be happened, it was happened to the life of the prince. Luxury, all kinds of things. His father want to make him confined to the palace and to ascend the throne of the king and to be a great ruler of Jambudipa. But ultimately, he at some point, yeah, of course, if we discuss that also, that is also a topic. Everything happens in his life could be discussed very, very detailed. But what is important, I want to say, is he became more and more introspective. Ultimately, want to become alone also later on. After he become married, so he wished to see the outside world other than the palace. He want to see the outside world. Of course, at that time also, the kings preferred where the prince will go. They cleared all. They prepared all so that he should not see some extreme signs. Certain signs, the old person, the sick person, the dead person, also later on, and ascetics. So after he has seen that, it's actually normal for the common people in our countryside area where we live in India. Maybe in city life also it's okay. We can see, sometimes we see many sick persons. Sometimes also we attend to the funeral ceremony. So we know that people die. It is normal to the normal people. We can experience that. And we see some monks also. But it's sometimes difficult to even understand. By seeing the normal signs, an old person or a sick person or they could arise in Buddha's, in a prince's mind, the questions, big doubt, big questions of the life, which normally we used to encounter. So all these things, I should say that they are connected, not only of the life of the present paramitas, to become a fully enlightened Buddha from long before. Maybe because of that, that kinds of feelings or questions arise in him. Normally, it's depend on the person he feel and what decisions he take. So from the side, four important sides, Buddha, the prince, decided that even me who is enjoying the full pleasure, happiness, luxury, one day have to become old, suffer like the sick person. If there is a way, then I will find out the way so that I should not suffer, should not become old, and I should not die later. So then he realized there is an ascetic, the practitioners. Wow, that is the answer. I should practice more luxuries, property, wealth, power will not be of any use if I become old. I could not enjoy them. If I become sick, I could not be used for power, all this luxury, all these possessions, this youth, energy, all this will be meaningless. So if there is a way, there is a solution to have the permanent, to attain, to realize the permanent happiness, to come out from all these sufferings. That's why he could not sleep. He became more and more worried about how to solve all these problems. From this also we know that maybe we have luxury or enough possessions or enough power maybe, so I cannot have that experience. I don't know how much power, luxury or possessions you enjoy in your life or something like that. Normally nowadays also we go for that. Because we don't have, we do not have that kind of experience or enough enjoyment, maybe enough pleasures, reason. That might be the cause that we pray to be more rich, more powerful, have more possessions, more success like that. Though we learn, also we can say we also experience some in our life. But still, that kinds of inner great arts, questions did not arise in us. That these are all these power are meaningless. Normally people can talk like that, but it's difficult. It's very difficult. Though we talk about that, but still we are very attached to it. We won't. Even we want, we pray for that. But from the Buddha, we are struggling to achieve for. Buddha the prince already had all of that. He could become a king. He was the only one person, one time. So the throne was to him, that he could be a very powerful Sakavati Maharaja. He could be an emperor also, very, very powerful. So he had all the luxuries, all everything, but that could not even bind sick enlightened to renunciate all of it. So that's very, very big. It's very big. Even the monks, we want to build good monastery. We want to have some more devotees. That these all things, possessions, powers, luxuries, in other way, we say these are all because of the sense organs. We want to see all the time the good sights, good views, good scenery. We want to taste very good food, delicious food, hear good sound, music, good feelings, good sense like that. But all these sensual pleasures are not permanent. We know, we understand also, we also experience that these are not permanent, but it's still beyond our capacity maybe. Beyond, it's not because of the full parameters maybe, that we can't do what the Buddha has done. We can't give up everything. Lotus Lantern, it's a kind of use for me. Enough of buildings there, devotees this and that. Those people say Wajuji, something like that. But because I am in search of that Lotus, really a practitioner, a kind of a management which needs a lot of care and a lot of the headache also this and that. Sometimes not so easy to be with the practice. So if I could decide to be this in search of the temple, can go to some personal hermitage or maybe to the meditation center, the Zen center, and practice full time. Center or a small meditation center compared to the kingdoms, compared to the palaces, compared to the power of the king. King's power, palace, luxury, all these things are so important. We want so much of possessions, luxury, want to have all kinds of sensual pleasures, much more and more and more. We crave for, we attach for them. Though we study, these all are meaningless when we grow. We can't, move properly, walk properly, later on become old. And when we become sick, our sense can't enjoy like that. We study, we have also experienced, but we can't be as like Buddha. That's why in Buddhism, we talk about the reincarnation, talk about the past life. Buddha has fulfilled paramitas, the perfections, to become a fully enlightened beings in this life. That's why it's possible for him to give up all everything, all the possessions, thrones. Only my family member is my wife, my child are very precious than other things. You know, sometimes if people have to choose in between their possessions, buildings, and give up. They may give up the possessions, the buildings, everything, and they choose the family, beautiful wife. So it is said Buddha was married to a very, very beautiful, beautiful girl, beautiful Yasoda, and a newborn, child Rahula. That time, Rahula also, the name was given by Buddha. When he was thinking to give up all everything. At that time, a new child for Jesus, hindrance, a kind of hindrance, but obstructions to give up all everything, to renunciate these things. So even the newborn, very, very, lovely child, beautiful wife, could not bind him to renunciate all. He gave up. They say it is mentioned he was just 29 years old. So he left the palace, shaved the head, beard everything, wear the dress of the ascetics, and went through, he moved forward to the south of Kapilavastu. Presently, it is Bihar of the United States in India, practicing under different masters. In Indian words, it is a guru. If many gurus are all the time present in India, you go now also, yoga guru, meditation guru, sadhu, naga sadhu, we say naga sadhu, without wearing dresses, studies. So he went to the very famous masters of that time. So they are very famous. The two were so famous. So he went Alara, Kalama, Alara and Kalama. I'm not referring to what I have thought, just talking. So he practiced. Now some scholars say that they say it might be a kind of Raja. Also, they could teach how to be on the level of samadhi, that is of full contemplation, meditation level. So these two teachers, Buddha has attained samadhi, full contemplation of the mind, but still he found that this is not enough to find the answer of this important topic of the life. Growing old, become sick, ultimately have to die. That kind of answer was not in full samadhi under the guidance of these two great masters. So later on, he decided, after he came to know that they could not lead him or guide him for further development of spirituality, he left them and he went alone. That some from the ancient times in India, there is a very important concept or techniques people used to believe. They used to give lots of torture. Very, very, to the extent possible. Suppose in the winter it's very, very cold. They used to go to the under the water, cold water, and practice. If it's very, very hot, they used to make fire all around and sit, something like that. So Buddha has tried the level possible. He even mentioned that he has undergone so much of hardship. What is the time? How much I have to talk?
Take some time for Q&A session. I think we can have another good reason to invite you.
So he has given so much of courses, very hard practice. He mentioned that not before him or not during his time, even not after him, there will be a practitioner who will suffer practice. He was almost dying. He fell down. He did not eat, not sleep, something like that. Of course, nowadays, some meditators, we see that they don't sleep, no talking, these kinds of practice, then people say, oh, it's so much of doing hard practice. That is nothing compared to the Buddha. But cannot become enough, cannot progress to the higher stages of spirituality. Then he realized that he should at least try to gain some physical strength to go more deeper into the mental states, to concentrate more, to repress. Then he chose the middle way, middle path. It is called the middle. So he was already had the other way of life, that is luxurious life, and he tried the hard life. Both are not proper to achieve the higher spiritual state that works for him. When he gained the strength, of course, we know there is a reference that a lady devotee came to offer the offer some porridge, rice porridge, yeah, to the deities there. But later on, she saw that there is a headache. So she thought this is the deity of this tree. Siddhartha was there following. So he offered to Siddhartha soup, porridge, rice porridge. Then after eating that, he gained the strength and he meditated under the Bodhi tree. Ultimately, he became fully enlightened. It is believed that when he was doing full meditation under the tree, the stages of his enlightenment was there, that he could in past lives, at the first once of the life, and then he could also he could know about the karma, about the reborn, the recycle of all the sentient beings, human beings, and later on, long time, he became human. Is it the time?
So I think it's good to have.
Okay, thank you. I don't know. I did not properly cover full of Buddha's life happenings. I will prefer a little bit more. Later we can talk a little bit more about his life and about his teachings later. I don't know how long.
Okay, can you hear me? I think that my voice will be heard because it's small. We'll continue. We'll have Q&A session. We already have 2 questions received. It's on the screen. Yendangguk asked this question. We call the Buddha's teaching as 4 great truths. Does the word noble have any special connotation of it? No, it's noble. Please tell us your interpretation of noble.
Noble truth. We
Yes.
say noble truth.
Yeah.
In Indian words, it is called Arya. Arya Satya. Truth now, at this present, applicable at this present moment, in this modern time. Like Arya means it's a noble truth because it is true in the past also. That's why it is called noble truth. At any time, any time periods, human basic problems are same. Our greed, our anger, delusions, all these are same. We try to solve our problems, our sufferings, then we have to get rid of from all these negative elements. That is true in this present world. It will be true in future also. Say this Arya Satya, noble truth. Of course, during the practice, I will say one more thing to you. Sometimes some practitioners don't speak, right? Silence, noble silence, Mugon. Mugon also is, no talking is also a kind of Buddhist. Don't talk. Then I write and convey the message, right? Or I can give some signs. That's not the way. That is just not talking. This is not the, someone is practicing noble silence. That's why he cannot call me. He cannot talk in telephone. So that's why he texts me. He sends messages to me. No, not like that. No in practice. If there is any communication, anything he used to connect with other can be a distraction of the concentration. That's why noble silence means fully silence, no connection with us. That's kind of. Is it okay? Who is asking? That's why.
Do you have any additional questions?
I think I asked a foolish question.
Yeah, the relation of the Four Noble Truths also the same. The Four Noble Truths, also same in the past, present, and future. But the Buddha has taught about the Four Noble Truths. They will be true. Will be the reason of the suffering, the cause of the suffering, the way to get rid of the suffering. So, what are the other questions?
May I have a question?
Okay, you can ask your question.
I have a question.
Okay, you can go.
Yeah. So we have 5 precepts for lay people, and number 5 is do not drink alcohol. Do not drink alcohol.
Okay.
Alcohol.
Yeah, we understand.
Do not drink alcohol. So sometimes I wondering, in India, no alcohol. How about the previous times? It was common for people to drink alcohol, and Buddha watched the phenomenon, and he stopped to not drink. I think he emphasized not to drink. So sometimes the alcohol is a little bit different from other precepts, I think, especially in East Asian culture. It's drink makgeolli. It's kind of food. So how can we accept the 5th precept? Please tell us about that. Thank you.
Okay, I think I understand the questions. You are concerned about alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol. You're right. Yeah.
Like drink alcohol. What about you? I ask you.
Sometimes I feel inclined to drink a cup of beer or a cup of makgeolli. Sometimes as kind of food. Not much, but sometimes it helps my appetite.
See, in Theravada tradition, we talk about the parameters. There are 10 parameters. One is called aditana paramita. That is from harm determinations. Sometimes if you want to determine that I will not drink, then it will better not to drink. Suppose I sit meditation here, I decide myself, determine myself that I will sit without moving, without opening my eyes, without looking around, unmoved for 1 hour. I should sit for 1 hour. I should not go. It's like someone doing Begil Kido, 100 days. So have to fulfill the 100 days. Then in that way, the firm determinations, aditana parami, will be fulfilled slowly and slowly. Some hard times will come. Suppose I am sitting for 1 hour, then at maybe around 45 minutes or 50 minutes, strong impact, very much pain will be there in my body. Might be I'd like to move, change the posture. I can do that, but it will harm to fulfill my parameters of aditana paramita. Like, suppose you decided not to drink, then you should not drink. On the other hand, if you drink, then nobody going to obstruct you nowadays. You can drink. Maybe a cup, maybe 1 bottle, it doesn't matter for you. What the Buddha's teaching is such that drinking alcohol, consuming alcohol means we can lose good sense, consciousness maybe. We might not be proper sense after we got drunk. And alcohol is as such, you drink a cup of beer or anything, any alcohol. The habit grows. Maybe one time you like to have another time. Maybe today 1 cup, later on 2-3 cups. Maybe in that way it will increase your habits to drink and become drunk. So if you become drunk, proper consciousness will not be there. And if you cannot have proper consciousness, proper awareness will not be there. Proper awareness, consciousness is very much necessary to become mindful. And the mindful relation with concentration, awareness, consciousness are very important to become wise. So if you want to become wiser enough, you practice no alcohol, you practice consciousness, practice concentration. But nowadays, I know socially also, in social gatherings, in party, you need to have cheers and what to say, convey and drink a cup of beer. I cannot say about that. That's why the precept, the fifth precept is not to abstain from alcohol, get drunk, because all other precepts, if you observe all other precepts, but you don't observe this alcohol, all other precepts can be useless. Because of this alcohol, all other precepts could be could not be observed. Sometimes alcohol makes people to tell lie, talk more, also commit adultery, maybe stealing, even then ultimately can go for killings too. Many quarrels because of alcohol. Because of alcohol, sometimes get quarrel and get killed also, something like that. That's why in Buddhism, Buddha's teaching, 5 precepts are the main for the Buddhist, for the lay people. It's the code of conduct, sometimes you can say. And alcohol is very, very important. This is up to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
May I have one question? What is the difference of the meaning between enlightened and fully enlightened? Sunim mentioned the fully enlightened is Samyak Sambuddhi, Sambhak Sambuddha and Samyak Sambuddhi, but that means it is including Buddha's background and his ability to even to choose his birthplace and his parents to sit the heaven, and his specialty of Buddha's 18 special power. So I want to know the difference. I'm not clearly understand. Would you please explain about that?
Yeah. Of course, those who are not enlightened, it's not useful to talk about enlightenment. The stages of spirituality, as much as we could realize, experience, that much of experience we have. The stages I achieved, I practiced, is my own experience, own enlightenment. And we don't know what will be about Buddha's fully enlightened or other enlightened persons as spiritual stages. It is said in Buddhism, enlightened men can be at different levels. Pacheka Buddha, Aggasavaka, Mahasavaka, something like that. Also Samyak Sambuddha, Buddha, Arahat, something like that. Sometimes some are enlightened, but not fully enlightened. Enlightened, the realization is there, the spiritual development is there. He practiced and become Buddha, become Arahant, but not fully enlightened, something like that. Not become Samyak Sambuddha. Suppose Samyak Sambuddha is fully enlightened, fully blessed one, we say. So that is Buddha. Pacheka Buddha means enlightened, not fully enlightened. Fully enlightened can have the Buddha's dispensations, Buddha's ministry, Buddha's time period. He preached all perfectly done in his life. The preaching, propagation of the Dharma, the establishment of the Sangha, all things are perfectly done in the fully enlightened Buddha's ministry. But those who are those who are not fully enlightened, they realize the Nibbana, they can attain the Nibbana, but their ministry will not be there. During Buddha's ministry, Gautama Buddha's ministry also, there are many enlightened persons, enlightened practitioners, disciples, lay people were also enlightened, become arahant, but they are not fully enlightened. Those who can preach properly, establish the Sangha, and that Buddha's ministry go through long period of time, it's only of Buddha's ministry. That's why he says to be fully enlightened. Nowadays we see the words in Korean language also. People normally use kedarum. In the normal conversation also, people used to talk like that. That kedarum and Buddha's kedarum is different. The kedarum of a normal monk, normal practitioner might be different, and the high level of kedarum might be different. And also different in between the arahants. Suppose Moggallana and Sariputta were enlightened persons. They were enlightened practitioners. They are regarded as enlightened, just like the Buddha. But their power of enlightenment is different. Sariputta is considered that he can give very good Dharma talks, preaching, very wise. Moggallana is considered to be a high, as like the Buddha in psychic experience and power. Something like that. The 10 different disciples of the Buddha, chief disciples of the Buddha, I think you studied about that. They have the different qualities and different virtues. They are all regarded as enlightened, but the enlightenment is different. All together, all the enlightened persons, enlightenment is there in Buddha, we believe like that. Even then, Buddha though has preached Dharma for 45 years and 84,000 sutras are there, we believe. Though he has preached so much, even then Buddha says, when he was talking to the group of monks, he gave the example of by plucking some leaves of the tree, Simsapa tree, it's mentioned there, and he shows that. He asked to the monk after showing the leaves of the trees, is the leaves in my hand are more, or the leaves in the forest is more? He said, the disciples answered, replied, the leaves in the forest is more than the leaves in Buddha's hand. Then the Buddha says, during my time, I had conveyed, I had preached you that much as like the leaves in my hand. I have that as like the leaves in the forest. So Buddha's enlightenment is beyond the imagination.
Thank you very much. So I think Buddha is not ordinary people, or super extraordinary people. So sometimes when we preaching the propagate Buddhism, Gautama study is very far from our ordinary people. Sometimes when we explain the Buddhism, especially Mahayana Buddhism, the emphasis of Buddha's life is make us difficult to preach the Buddha. Sometimes, well, even we just say so everybody has a seed of Buddhahood, and everybody could be the Buddha in some time, or in this life, or later, or next life, or whenever. But when we explain, always meet some very difficult point. We need to explain Buddha's specialty and his how can I say, super extraordinary qualities. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I also think like that sometimes, because Buddha has practiced so long time back in his previous life. So it is believed he did full practice of the, how to say, parameters. He did the perfections of all the parameters. So he is different. Suppose in this life, also we see if we learn something, some education, some technique, some arts, sometimes someone who give more effort is more eligible, more skillful than who are not giving enough effort or enough practice. So in that way, Buddha has given a lot of effort. He tried, he fulfilled with the aim to become fully enlightened in future. That's why he has the power. We say the psychic power. Vidhi in Indian words. So which normal people cannot have. But we also can have all the qualities, all the perfections Buddha has. So Buddha says, Buddha has given a very important teachings to us is we try, we can discover, we can develop, we can be more wise and enlightened as like Buddha. So that is very important point in Buddhism. Normal people, it's very difficult for us, even to believe that there is enlightenment, even to believe that there is Buddha nature in me. But sometimes we can see that we are so good persons, so good nature, wise. We behave as like a very wise person sometimes, right? That's because we have that nature inherent in us. We can be very wise. Sometimes we see, we fight, we quarrel, we have some kinds of anger, attachment, grief, like that. Also, that is what? That's another side of us, animal nature. So that means we have both the nature. We should be very careful as a human being, very conscious enough to go with only the good sides, not with the wrong sides. Animal nature, we let go of the animal nature. We develop the Buddha nature. So developing the Buddha nature stage by stage, slowly and slowly, a time will come. At certain point, we will be enlightened as like Buddha. The Mahayana tradition say that can be possible in this very life. It's depend on the mind. Okay.
감사합니다.
Due to the time limit, I think it's good to have one more question from here. If you have any questions, any of you have any questions? Okay, so let's conclude. Dharma talk and questions. We'll give half thought to the Sunim.
Yes, thank you.